Chris Christie, the governor of New York, or rather New Jersey,
come on,
is sitting in New York today.
I got enough problems.
Whoa!
You're in New York, too.
You do. You know, we've been talking about politics for months. But,
sorry, Andrew.
But today, it really starts. The day after Labor Day, back to school time, and now it's the campaign.
Absolutely. Things get going now, and we're leaving here and heading right up to New Hampshire.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You get the Hustle Award. You'll go out, you'll do your shows, you'll answer the questions, much like the guy that's leading Donald Trump. What is your strategy after Labor Day? You mentioned to me in the hall, you got everything mapped out. You know where you're going. You have a town hall. So how do you break out of 5%, especially in New Hampshire, and start getting into double digits and going near the top?
Well, you just keep working. I think what Steve said is right. You know, people aren't really focusing all that much over the summer on politics. We'll have folks who are really committed, activists who are out there. But now it's time for people to really start paying attention. Kids are back at school. People are focused on work. Summer vacations are over. And now this campaign really gets going. And we've been laying a lot of groundwork up in New Hampshire and in Iowa. And we'll just keep working real hard.
And, Governor, more proof of this war on cops in our nation. We showed some video at the top of the hour, this cryptic message. Also in Las Vegas, we had a cop ambushed. In Illinois, a cop laid to rest. In Houston, the guy just pumping gas, executed from behind. What does the President of the United States need to do when we have these Black Lives Matter protesters saying, fry like bacon, pigs in a blanket?
Well, listen, this is the president's problem because he has not allowed law and order to be the rule of the day in the United States. Lawlessness has been the rule of the day. Sanctuary cities across the country where he doesn't allow people to enforce the immigration laws. Marijuana being smoked recreationally in Colorado, Washington, other places don't enforce the federal law. And now the president says little or nothing about these issues where police officers are being hunted. The fact is, people should know this about me. I was a U.S. attorney for 7 years before I became governor. I know how to enforce the law. We're going to stop the games and the gimmicks, and we're going to enforce the law in this country when I'm president of the United States. Law and order will restore some sense of normalcy to people's lives, and we'll stand behind our law enforcement officers around the country.
Sure. You know, over the last 5 or 6 days, people all around the world have been looking at these horrifying images of people, these thousands of people streaming into Europe looking for sanctuary. A lot of them are coming from Syria. It's because, and I've heard from a lot of the people I was out visiting on vacation last week down in Florida, they're blaming our president because he has not taken a stand on how to handle the situation in Syria.
Well, Steve, worse, he took a stand. He said way back, if Assad uses chemical weapons against his people, we'll take him out. He drew a red line. Yeah. And then Assad used chemical weapons. He's killed 240,000 Syrians, and the president has done nothing. This is a part of the president and Hillary Clinton's failed foreign policy. Remember, Hillary Clinton and the president called Assad a reformer. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what he's reforming, but it's wrong, and we see now. And this is what people have to understand in our country, too. You know, America needs to be a leader on these things. And if not, we see what's happening all across Europe now with refugees streaming everywhere, not to count the hundreds of thousands of refugees that have gone to Jordan already.
Well, what would you do?
How many refugees would you take in if you were the president right now?
Well, I'd sit down with our allies and figure out how we can help. Because America is a compassionate country. And we don't want to see, we saw the image of that 4-year-old little boy drowned in Syria. And we can't have those kind of things, Brian. And so, you know, I can't come up with an exact number.
But
you'd have to sit with our allies and work together.
I'll give you some numbers right now. Germany says we'll take in 800,000. France and England say we'll take in 44,000. And they want us to take 70,000. What would Governor Christie do?
I'd sit down with them and say, let's look at what the flow of the refugees are going to be. And the United States should play their role in it along with the other allies.
That image you mentioned where the boat had capsized and cost and the man carrying his son on the beach, it made everybody wake up to this, and it really pulls on our heartstrings. But you also have to think about the threat of terrorism. These refugees are not just fleeing civil war-torn areas. They're fleeing from ISIS, and they're great at recruitment and radicalization. How do we make sure terrorists don't come in with the good guys?
Well, listen, we have to go after ISIS, go after them hard. And I don't think the president thinks they're the JV anymore. And you know, now we have reports that Prime Minister Cameron's the one who ordered a drone strike that killed an ISIS leader over the weekend. Yep. The fact is that's leadership. And the president hasn't shown that. He still doesn't have a strategy to combat ISIS.
And now Russia's coming into the fray. Russia say we're going to do our own coalition. They send 1,000 advisors on the ground. How complicated is it right now in Syria?
Well, it's very complicated, and the president's made it more complicated. And to answer your question, Steve, from before, what would I have done? Well, if I had drawn a red line in Syria and said Assad's going to be taken out if he uses chemical weapons, then we would have taken him out.
Let me ask you what you would do in this situation. Mike Huckabee is going to have a rally today for the jailed county clerk, Kim Davis, who would not sign marriage certificates for same-sex marriages in her county. There she is right there.
Yep.
What do you think should happen here?
Well, I said a few things. First off, we've got to be protecting religious liberty in this country, and the Constitution has to be protected. People have a right to practice their religion. Now, I've said what I would do with this woman is to move her to another job where this is not an objection for her, because you have to follow the law. And the law has to be, these licenses have to be issued. If she has a religious objection, we should move her to another job inside the government.
What if she refused to go?
Well, you know, then there's going to be an issue. But I think we should give her an option to do another job where her religious concerns are not going to be put into the crosshairs on this. And so we have to have respect for people, but the government also has to function.
So we have Senator Cruz going out there to visit her in jail, evidently, and Governor Huckabee will have a rally. Do you see a role for yourself in that?
Not just speaking out like this. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think you should grandstand on this stuff. This is a serious issue. And I don't know if she's looking forward to a visit from Senator Cruz or not. We'll see. But the fact is, you know, I don't think you should grandstand on this and play politics on it. What we should do is just try to solve problems. And see, this is part of the problem with Washington, quite frankly. And this is why we need term limits for these guys. We need term limits for these guys because if this is what they have time to do, they should get out of Washington, D.C. They should be fixing the problems. They don't fix the problems. They close down government. They bicker. They argue. They don't get anything done. They told us if we elected a Republican Senate and a Republican House, we'd get tax reform. We'd get Obamacare repealed. None of it has happened. So it's time to have term limits.
That's why there's a lot of frustration.
Okay.
What about Hillary Clinton? Now there's news this morning that the CIA and the Geospatial Defense Intelligence Organization has come up and they said, yep, the stuff that was sent to her, top secret. But her campaign's saying, you know what, it wasn't secret. There's just so much back and forth between the campaign and what looks like the law, and she broke it, and they're trying to spin it.
Listen, it doesn't matter. She won't answer questions, and she won't tell the truth. The fact is that that's what she needs to do first. 3 questions she's got to answer, and I'm going to continue to ask her these. Why did you have a private email server to begin with?
Right.
Second, if you had a private email server, why were you doing official business over it, not your personal things, on a private email server that was totally outside of the government, not available to anyone? And third, why were you having classified top secret stuff on that email server, which could be hacked by the Russians, the Chinese, or some 18-year-old kids who are looking to have some fun? This is, and she won't answer any of those questions. Now she says she thinks her choice was not a good one. She said
she will not apologize.
Right, but she will apologize for people not understanding.
People are confused.
How great is it that Hillary Clinton is apologizing for us not understanding her lies?
Right,
now I'm confused.
Now I'm really confused because she's lying and I don't understand. I mean, it's my fault, not hers.
What about the fact that her IT guy refuses to testify? What would you do? How does he testify?
Listen, how about this? The President of the United States, where is he? Where's he?
He's quiet,
right? He should be standing up and saying, you were part of my administration. This is bringing disrepute onto my administration. Everybody cooperate. That's what he should be saying. But the president's AWOL on this. Hillary Clinton should be saying to the people who worked for her, we've got nothing to hide.
Sure.
Cooperate. But she won't do that. This is a failure of leadership. And what you need is when people make mistakes, you need to say to them, listen, you need to own up to them. Own up to them, cooperate with authorities so that people know the answers. But that's not the way it works in Hillary world.
All right. We're going to have to end it right there.
All right.
Governor Christie,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Have a safe trip up to New Hampshire.
We intend to.
Right.
Okay.
And I know there's a bounce in your step because the Mets beat the Nationals yesterday.
That's why we have the orange and blue tie on today.
That's what he watched the whole game.
Big Mets win yesterday. Absolutely.
And see if Matt Harvey can do it today.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.